Hey everyone, I'm here with a little bit different of a video today. Rob asked me to review two of the books that I thought could be good perspective shifting pieces of literature that aren't on our reading list that I think matter a lot. One of the books is very similar to Man's Search for Meaning. Well, they both are in the context of going through a tragedy. And I want to talk about each of these books in particular and what I've learned from these books and how I've tried to apply this to my life. I think it's really important to realize that we all want to read books. Well, not everyone, but people who enjoy reading and like learning and perspective shifts, something that many people can fall in love with on the journey to OCD and anxiety recovery. So before I go any further, please subscribe. Please comment down below. Let me know if you've read some of these books. Let me know what you think about it. These are just two really good books. I really do enjoy reading. I have 3 set coming in the mail tomorrow, which is The Book of Five Rings by Moyotashu, who is the greatest swordsman in Japan, The Art of War, and another one. So I'm really excited to get those 3 pieces of literature. I do really enjoy reading philosophy. It's one of my favorite things to read. And I kind of pick and choose and apply those to my life as needed. And if you're struggling with OCD or anxiety or just any other problems, or you're really struggling with anxiety issues in general, we're not saying you have to have a full-blown disorder. Something you find this book and something is really tragic happened to you in your life, loss of a loved one, parent dying of cancer, child dying of cancer. We coach people from all over the world that are going through really, really tough situations, even outside of OCD and anxiety-based disorders. We work with a lot of people who have OCD and addictions, the whole spectrum, lost parents, been in severe, rough situations in different areas of the world, just areas that a lot of things just go wrong. So, and that is info@ocdrecovery.com, and we will get back to you in a timely fashion. So these are the books right here. In Order to Live by Yomi Park and The Happiest Man on Earth by Eddie Jaku. So let's start with this book, The Happiest Man on Earth by Eddie Jaku. Eddie Jaku was a Holocaust survivor. Crazy story. He was in a concentration camp and then got out. And then I believe, if I remember correctly, he was trying to hide as a German with a German ID. Then he got arrested as a German. So he was with a bunch of Nazis and other German prisoners. And imagine that. They thought he was German after he escaped a concentration camp being Jewish. And then they found out he was Jewish. Then they sent him to Auschwitz. Just crazy story. There's just really, really good stuff in this. Like, I'll just read it up here, right? This just goes to show you, when you realize how many things could go wrong in life. Each night on my walk back into Brussels, I would leave the cigarettes in her dog kennel. She would then go out and sell them on the black market. And when I returned the next day, I would find groceries, potato, bread, and butter. No meat, though. My family didn't eat meat for a whole year. There was nowhere to find meat anywhere. But this was enough. It kept me and my family alive and safe for months. When I go through these books, I am a highlighter to a degree. I'm sorry, my allergies are out of control recently. So, like this one right here, I would trade a good steel ring for a shirt or a bar of soap. I mean, think about that perspective, trading something just for something as simple as a bar of soap. Let's see what else. This is him right here. That's Eddie Jaku right there. And I believe he died a couple of years ago. I think he lived till he was 101. I like this one, rather. I highlighted this one. Hope is the fuel that powers the body. And let's see. Just talking about the way they make them work. Working from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. And they weren't working easy jobs. They had them building things. They had them working out in the cold. He was working in the factory, if I remember correctly. Right here, right? I had to decide what to do to live or find a tablet and die like my parents. But I had made a promise to myself and to God to try to live the best existence I could, or else my parents' death and all the suffering would be for nothing. So I chose to live. The reason why these books are really important for me, it's really easy to get down, whether it's the economy you live in, the inflation, maybe you live near a war zone or you're in a war zone. And all of these different things have different aspects that make it very difficult to live your life. But it's also important to realize that, and it's not easy to see this, that things can be worse. And you can learn to appreciate the small things in your life, such as a cup of coffee. I mean, this is something I really like. It's an experience. And I think it's really, really important to look at those small joys. The number one thing I took away from this book is that you realize, in a not so distant past, we're talking 80 years ago, how unfair and tragic events can happen in life. Whether that's Auschwitz or the Holocaust or World War I, II, or the current wars right now, or school shootings in America, or diseases and famines in different areas of the world, or malnutrition and children dying. The world can be a really, really brutal place. And it's important to count the things you have in your life that you could be grateful for, because if you don't do that, it's really easy to fall into the trap of the things you don't have. So this was a really, really good book. The second one I'm going to talk about, which was an incredible book as well, is In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park, who is a North Korean defector. This book is mind-blowing, right? I'm going to read you the quote on the back. I am most grateful for two things: that I was born in North Korea and that I escaped North Korea. This is very similar to OCD. I am grateful for two things: that I had OCD and I learned to recover from OCD. This is just a very, very telling story. Yeonmi Park shows you the inside world of living in a place like North Korea, and why when you have that type of a system, how oppressive it can be. And, you know, like little things like this. I'll read you again. When I highlight things, I'm trying to look for small perspective shifts. And a lot of these things you won't remember. You're not going to remember everything you read in the book. But it was paradise to me because we were together as a family. The family structure, whether you have children, whether you're talking about your mom or your dad, your brothers, your sisters, really cherishing that. I mean, my father's dead. He's been dead and I just got a new tattoo to add his name to that, which is cool. And my dad's been dead for 5 years now. I'll never see my father again. And for someone who doesn't believe in an afterlife, I don't think I'll ever see him again. I have to accept that. I could be wrong, of course, but that's just the way I believe. Let's see if I can find some other good quotes in here that were really good. Here's a crazy one, right? If you grow up in the West, you may think that romance occurs naturally, but it does not. You learn how to be romantic from books and movies and other observation. But there was no model to learn from in my parents' time. They didn't even have the language to talk about their feelings. You just had to guess how your beloved felt from the look in his eyes or the tone of her voice when she spoke. The most they could do was hold hands secretly, which is insane. It's just totally crazy. It goes to show you the way they view the leaders in North Korea and the way that people believe something because they were born and raised to think that, and how beliefs can shape everything. You know, the government stole everything from its people, including their freedom. Money was too disgusting for most people to mention in polite conversation. You know, all these different beliefs. There were so many desperate people in the streets crying for help that you had to shut off your heart or the pain would be too much. After a while, you can't care anymore, and that is what this hell is like. Almost everyone I knew lost family in the famine. The youngest and oldest died first. Then the men, who had fewer reserves than the women. Starving people wither away until they no longer fight off diseases or the chemicals in their blood became so unbalanced their hearts forgot to beat. And she talks about escaping. There's obviously a really cool thing. This is Yeonmi Park's parents right here. Those are her mom and dad. If she ever finds this video, I'm very grateful for your writings. Thank you so much. Just a bunch of pictures of them as children, which is really cool. Their parents in the park right there. Her and her sister, who she got separated from for a long time, and ended up finding her sister again. This is such a good photo right here. This is her sister, and her mom. This is just such a terrific photo. You just forget just how brutal life can be. And everything that you think, if you're living in America and you have a job and you have food on the table, you have it better than most people. To put you in the 1% of the world, 1% of the world, your salary, you have to make more than $30,000 a year. So even in some places in America, like disability and say unemployment can be over $30,000 a year, your unemployment salary puts you in the 1% of the whole entire world. Just something to be thought about, you know? So just little things like this. This is a crazy one right here. But I had trouble understanding how he was a merciful God. I wondered why this God existed in South Korea, but it did not in North Korea. It's just little interesting perspectives that really can change your perspective on things and your mindset. We were freezing most of the time because it was still winter, but we didn't complain. For North Koreans, this place seemed normal, even luxurious, even though South Koreans would probably call it a prison camp. So when they escaped and they were in this new place before they were, I don't know if before they got their citizenship, they thought that was a luxury, while other people thought it was a tremendous tragedy, right? Chinese prisons for the crime of helping North Koreans escape to freedom. 75% of recent North Korean defectors in South Korea have some form of emotional or mental distress. 75%. And to be honest, you can't correlate this in statistics. This is why psychological research is the most skewed. It's completely subjective. It's probably 100%. I can't see how it wouldn't be. Let's see if there's one more. Let's see. I was still worried that someone from my past would recognize me, but I put it all out of my mind and moved ahead, which is something I've always been good at. Just little tiny things you just don't even... It taught me the meaning of compassion. I found myself praying for others. Just little things like that. I'm a big reader. I love reading. These two books, thank you again. I know Eddie Jack, who passed away for some reason, if his family or anyone else ever finds this. Thank you. It's an incredible book. Yummy Park, if you ever find this video, your book and your writing is absolutely tremendous. My wife and I always joke with me because my writing skills aren't good. And if I ever wrote a book one day, there'll be lots of editing to be done. These are just incredible things to add to your reading list. Thank you so much for watching this. Let me know if there's any other books out there that you enjoy reading. This is a little bit different, but we do like doing stuff like this because it brings the YouTube channel to life with a little bit more realness. Not everything is going to be as educational. Not everything has to be about OCD and anxiety recovery. All these perspectives come together to form the entire pot of unconditional self-life, other acceptance. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.